Okie dokie. All of you so far are au fait with natural cycle planning, but I'm going to speak a little bit more about a few different aspects you may not have heard about today, and to help you to really develop this as a practice, a planning practice, more deeply in your life so it can benefit you even more. So first of all, I want to draw your attention to this little diagram here, because this is your full year, the 12 themes of business throughout the year, which tells you what to focus on and when. Now, when we're talking about natural cycle planning, the emphasis is on being strategic. So when we talk about actions, we're not talking about all the little menial things that you have to do day to day in your business. We're talking about being strategic. And that means that every strategic action you take is actually going to get you one step closer to your goal, to either your monthly goal or intention, or your annual, your natural year intention. So you can see from this diagram here, there's 4 elements: fire, air, earth, and water, which govern each of the themes. And what you want to start to become aware of throughout the year is reflecting on your natural year intention. So what intention you set for the whole natural year back in Aries, which was in March, April. Which of these areas does it pertain to? So I'll give you an example. Jody, communication in air needs a U. Thank you, Jody. I love your attention to detail.
It just turned out.
Thank you, darling. I never noticed, I have to say. Yes, so your natural year intention will have a theme to it as well. So as an example, my natural year intention, and I'll just bring this up for you now, is to expand my reach, teach and share my soul work with aligned audiences. So if we go back to this, sharing and teaching really is an air theme. It's all about communication, sharing, talking, teaching, spreading the message. So the theme for my natural year is actually an air theme. So the significance of this is that when you can identify the theme for your year intention, it will give you an idea of when you need to really emphasize your efforts. So if your intention, your natural year intention, was around sharing, communication, marketing, any of those aspects, getting your message out there, being more innovative, anything around that is more cerebral thinking, social oriented, then this is a really key month for you. And you'll have 3 key months throughout the year. So all of those air signs, which is Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, those themes are there: communication, networking, and innovation. So that's just an example for you to start to become more aware of as the year rolls on. What is the theme of your natural year intention, and where do you need to really highlight your efforts for the year so that you reach that goal? Mel, you got a question?
Yes, I do, because I'm a Libra anyway, Libra.
Yep.
And so I have a natural tendency to love communication and marketing and all those sorts of things.
Yep.
So does that mean that I'll tend to want to do that in my business a lot? Like when I'm looking at all the different areas, I can see like, yeah, I do that. But I know that I'll always come back to this air kind of theme.
Oh. Yep.
How does that work? Because all the other parts are very important as well.
So it really comes back to, what is your aim for the year? Like, where do you want to be in a year's time? So if that end of year goal is actually around that aspect of air, communication, marketing, sharing, expanding your reach, then that emphasis is still perfect for you this year. But your emphasis may shift, and it will shift according to the cycle or stage of business growth you're in. I'm not going to go into that today, but it is in one of the previous videos, and I think you've seen it, Mel. with the 4 stages of the tree. So there will be a different focus depending on what stage you're at in your business, how mature your tree is.
Okay.
So, and of course, you raise a good point, because we all have a natural inclination to one of these areas, you know, whether it's creativity, communication, and, you know, analytical aspects of business, the more practical systems, organizational aspects, and then there's the intuitive people side too. So you will be naturally drawn to one of those areas. So what I do suggest is that you, with that awareness, you make sure that you do balance out across all of these themes. And at the same time, making sure that that is the strength that you portray in your business, which you do, Mel, you know, around marketing. So does that answer your question?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's just a seed I wanted to plant today, to be aware of throughout the year. Now let's move on to natural timing. Now, I mentioned this last time in terms of the 3 elements of natural timing. Ripe timing, which is really knowing when your creation is ready to be released, not releasing it too soon and not releasing it too late. So when the fruit is completely ripe on the tree, then you pick it. A lot of people release too early and don't let their creations mature enough for them to really have an impact in the market, or the impact that they desire. And people feel that unconsciously, consciously or not, whether a creation is fully ripened yet. And of course, the more ripe your creation is, the more value it has. Often the more people will pay for it. The perceived value is often higher. Sustainable growth. So this comes back to the 4 stages of business that I mentioned earlier. Making sure that you are aware of what stage of business you're at, how mature your tree is, so that you are focusing on what nutrients your tree needs at the time. This will ensure sustainable growth. You're not trying to move forward too fast and cheat earth time, which is what I like to call another term for natural timing. So we have 2 versions of time, which I continually observe in business, is head time, which is working at the speed of light and how fast we want things to grow, and you know, how quickly we want people to respond and how fast we want change to happen. And then there's earth time, which is immensely slower. So we can operate at the 2 levels at once, but it really helps to be aware of earth time. And that's what this whole natural cycle planning will assist you in doing. And then there's natural rhythm. So the ebb and flow of life, that it's not necessarily realistic to have consistent results all the time in your business. You're going to have times when there's not much happening and maybe cash flow is a bit tight, and then other times when, you know, you're harvesting away and really enjoying the fruits of your efforts. So that's really about tuning into the ebb and flow of life and where your business is at in terms of that cycle. And I wanted to give you nature tip number 2 to help you to tune into your natural timing rhythm. And it is tree hugging. So, especially for air signs, when you're in an airy month like this one, tree hugging can be a godsend because it channels all of the energy that's going on in the brain into the earth. So I encourage anyone to try hugging a tree once a day for as long as you want, and just breathe and see how it changes your whole energy. See how it gives you clarity. See how it slows down your system so that you can start to get a feel for earth time and what is really necessary for you to do now. All right, did anyone have any experiences with the last tip from last month? I'm not sure if, well, Jodie, you were here. Do you remember what last month's tip was? Hang on, you're on mute, darling.
No, I haven't even looked back on my notes yet. I haven't done very much at all this last month. It's been a bit weird. So no.
Yes, it has been a weird month, hasn't it? Yes, last month, just for those of you who missed it, the tip was offline time, having at least one day a week where you are off the internet. You are not contactable, you are not interacting with your computer or your phone. So that's one that you can try anytime too. So as you can start to see, this natural timing really is a practice. It's not so much a head process, because we've been taught how to do conventional business planning till the cows come home. This is trying to balance that analytical approach out with a more embodied, realistic, earthly realistic sense of what's achievable in your business. So let's get cracking with, first of all, your previous cycle review. So you want to make sure that around the turn of each cycle, you are looking back and reflecting on the month that has gone. Now, this means, first of all, ticking off your actions that are complete. And you just, I just tick them off on there. Some of them, if they're to be carried over at a later stage or the next cycle, you just put a little arrow. And if they're no longer relevant, you can cross them off the list. So that's kind of a form of closure, so that you are actually pausing in between these cycles. Very important. You can also get a sense of, was my intention fulfilled for this last cycle? So reading back what your cycle intention was, does it feel complete? And what feels incomplete, or what needs to be continued in the following cycles? So this is where you really get clear on what is going to be carried over. Does anyone have any questions about the process of reflecting on the previous cycle? Is it pretty straightforward, or do you want me to explain a bit more? All good? Okay. Make sure you do that process, always reflecting back. Now, I actually keep because I'm printing out my calendar and I write directly on it. I recommend keeping all of those pages that you've written on throughout the year, because later in the year, when we reach evaluation time, you're going to want to review what you've done in the past and what still needs doing. Okay, so let's look at Gemini. Gemini, the chatterboxes. So this month in business, it's all about getting chatty, creating buzz, creating like a level of curiosity with your tribe. Now, this is what I mean by the term buzz, and you might have heard that before, creating a buzz around your brand. This is the perfect month to do that, because what does it take to create buzz? Any thoughts?
Enthusiasm?
Yes. Good. Excellent.
Intrigue.
Intrigue.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what Gemini does very well. They're very energized and they're intriguing, or they're intrigued by their surroundings, by other people. That's why they ask so many questions. So this is the headspace we're getting into to create buzz this month. So what is it with your brand that you could do to encourage this buzz, or create some kind of word of mouth buzz where people are talking about your business to other people because they're excited, because they just naturally want to. And that's what Gemini does. It's like, well, I'm excited, so I want to talk about this. So that's what we're wanting to foster with people. And, you're leading by example here. So you're putting your Gemini coat on and you're going to get all excited about your own brand, so other people get excited. Mel, I know you do this really well, I notice.
And it's funny you were saying before about how you've got to wait for the right moment. Like, I want to start talking about my new changes really quickly, but I know it's not the right moment just yet. So a couple of things created before putting stuff out there.
Yeah, very good point, because Gemini gets all like they get ants in their pants and they want to share stuff, you know. But when we come back to natural timing, which is important in every cycle, we'll see that sometimes we do have to sit on it a little bit longer. So yes, sitting on your hands like a good student. And that's actually the next point, because Gemini is about being is about learning and being a student. So you're either teaching or in teaching mode or learning mode this month. So that's why learn new strategies is really key. This is the time to be absorbing new ways of doing things so that you have some new fodder, some new information, some new ideas that you can start to implement down the track. So this is the month to absorb that information, not necessarily to execute it. The following months will help with that. And asking for feedback. Of course, this is the number one question that Geminis like to ask, because they want to know what you're thinking. What are you thinking? Tell me. You know, ask the question. Ask directly. What do you think about this? Can you tell me what's good, what's not? What are you actually wanting? Because all of that goes in your little information kit that you're going to be using throughout the year. This is a month to get inside people's heads. What's going on for them? What are they thinking? So these are some of the different aspects of communication that you can really tap into this month. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to give some of my own examples in a moment, but does anyone have any questions about any of those aspects?
Not really, but just to pipe in.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I'm Gemini and I need to talk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask this month, having thought about buzz and stuff, and I've got a bit of a buzz going on, I guess, because I'm actually changing my business quite considerably, and I don't think you know, but I'm actually maybe closing my studio, but I'm definitely heading on the road. I'm going to go global.
Wow.
I've had this massive understanding that actually my business has gone a little down this year, which was interesting. Considering last year was such a big year, and then this year it's like the opposite, and it's just when I need it to be better. So I started thinking outside of the box, and I've decided to head to India and start studying, and then just teach and travel around Asia, and now apparently Europe.
Wow.
So I keep expanding my idea. Now I think I'm going to become a British citizen and have dual nationality.
God.
I know.
That's a big change since I saw you last.
I know. Yeah. I suddenly realized I didn't have a man and a property holding me down anymore. And I felt like I was at the end of a slingshot. And I think I'm just seeing how far I can fly.
Wow. Well, this is a pretty good month for you then.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's interesting to use this because I might have worked slightly differently, but that creating buzz, and because I want to keep hold of my students that I've already got, I want to do videos with them so I can upload videos wherever I am, and they can still be teaching, learning from my teaching and stuff like that. So I wondered about whether I needed to create the buzz around videos, but definitely I wanted to ask for testimonials, because if I need, if people are going to employ me as a yoga teacher, or massaging or whatever it is that I'm doing, I sort of thought, oh, okay, so this is a really good month to ask for testimonials from my students, because it's not something I've ever bothered with, even though I knew I must get testimonials. I've never done it. And so this month I thought, look, they're all on my side. They're all like, oh my God, we're going to lose you. Oh my God, we love you. Oh, hopefully then it's the buzz, oh my God, my teacher's going overseas. And then hopefully they'll be happy to give me a testimonial, and
Excellent.
maybe put in a bit of buzz about videos, or because I want them to subscribe to a monthly subscription.
Bingo. Okay,
Yeah.
you've just highlighted a really good point that when you're creating buzz, there still needs to be a purpose. There still needs to be a call to action. So
Yeah.
if people are all kind of in a flurry because you're leaving Lucilla, then what do you want them to do with that energy? I mean, subscribing to a list is a great start, but they can do more with that energy. So
Okay.
I would actually start to think outside the box around how you can harness that excitement. And this is a great month to experiment. Gemini is very experimental. Let's see what happens if I do this. So as an example, you could say, all right, I know I'm leaving, but I am going online. So what I would love from you is if you want to share the word, spread the word for me because of this new direction I'm taking, you're going to receive a discount for every friend that you refer to my new venture or something like that. Some kind of referral bonus, because when people are excited, first of all, they've got to be able to channel it for a purpose. And second of all, you want to say thank you. They want to be rewarded for, spreading the word. But first and foremost, they really need to know what to tell people. So this is a great month to actually get clear on what you want people to be saying about you.
Yeah.
So you can actually write a script of what you want people to say, and you can email them and say, hey, if you know anyone, here's what you need to send them, or here's a snippet of the info they need to get started. They're just a few ideas, but this is what Gemini is about. Just experiment and see what works.
Yeah, it's just got an awful lot on. I keep having little moments of, this is fine, and then moments of, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to fit it all in, because I've actually got to prepare my house, put that on, not on the market, but put it up for lease. I've got, all sorts of things going on.
Okay, so this is where you want people to do the marketing for you.
Yeah.
Word of mouth, do most of the work. Let the buzz get carried away, and take.
Would you create buzz about your house as well to sell it really quick?
I don't want to sell it. I'm just going to lease it. Yeah. So I've just done some preliminary stuff with regard to how, getting people in to appraise it. And, I don't know. I've had a couple of people say, oh, how much and stuff that I know. So, but that's the next sort of thing. I'm just waiting for the right timing to perhaps put a little something on Facebook. And then if nothing happens like that, I'll just get somebody in to lease it for me. But I'm not selling. So,
Yeah.
But I do have a really, really nice house. So I'm pretty sure I shouldn't have any trouble getting that leased. So
cool.
Particularly in this area, apparently, that houses like that don't come up for lease very often.
Well, good point. Whatever you do this month, make sure it's outside the box. Make sure it's not business as usual, what people are used to seeing all the time, especially if it's online or what you're saying to people. Make it a little bit different, give it some kind of appeal. Gemini's the child, they're the twins. So they're childlike, they want you to play with them. So play with people, play with people's inner child.
I can do that.
Good.
Pretty childish myself, being a Gemini.
Yes, that helps immensely, Lucilla. This is your month.
Hopefully.
So this is where you want to get clear on, well, what is this month about for you? What's your intention for the month? So as an example, my intention is to educate my tribe in a fun and energizing way. Now, this is not meant to be, just repeating what I say every month, your intention is not tangible necessarily. It's not measurable. It's just a feeling. It's like, I feel like this is it. This is what I want to feel at the end of the month. This is what I want to accomplish. This is how I would feel at the end of the month if I had my way. So if I could say at the end of the month that I educated my tribe in a fun and energizing way, I'd feel great about that. So this is just getting the embodied version of your goals coming into the picture. then your actions, your strategic actions for the month are the tangible part, where you really want to be able to tick these off because you know whether they've been done or not. So some of my actions this month are to share my new copywriting offer, to create a new sales funnel, which I haven't done for about a year now. Probably last Gemini was the last time I did that. Launching Facebook ads, same, that was about 2 years ago. And finalising the agreements for the DAO community. So agreements, that's an interesting one because this is all communication too. So we're actually putting in writing between the founders of DAO and the guest teachers what the expectations are, what the future intentions are, putting all that down on paper so it's nice and clear. And of course, having lots of discussion around that as well. So you can see that these strategic actions are all around sharing and communicating with others. So does anyone have any thoughts or anything they want to share about what they might have in store this cycle? We can all put our heads together.
Always in tune, Nat. Every time you tell me what the cycle, I'm always like, I was doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I just find it amazing. Because I'm
Cool.
about to revamp the Soul Lounge. Like, it's taking a new,
Cool.
and I have kind of talked about it a little bit, but for me, it's about creating the promos around it. There is some exciting stuff that is different that's coming up this month as well. So, and the other thing is I want to start a podcast too. So I need to learn a lot about that. There's a couple of things there that I do need to learn new things. So for me, it's all like just making real sense. I'm like, good.
Yeah, it sounds like you really are. You're really in natural flow, natural timing. So
yeah. I don't know.
now, and you've done exactly what my experience has been with the natural planning is that you might have an idea and then you have to let it gestate for all this time. You know, you might have to go through several cycles of kind of not doing anything with it, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's time. Okay.
Because I've actually been sitting on the changes for the Soul Lounge since about, I don't know, October last year. Really? Like, and it was like I wanted to, and I was like, but I didn't know what it was, and it's just sort of taken that time to just come in, and it dropped in only like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Well, and podcasting is very Gemini too.
Yes. And that's always been on my list, but I never, for me, it like innovation is so important. Like, I hate looking like everybody else. I hate creating things that everybody else has created. I just don't, that's just not my thing. And so it's waiting for that idea to come, to be different, to do something that everybody else isn't doing. So I'm excited.
Cool. So have you thought about asking people what they want in a podcast? So that could be your angle with feedback.
Kind of. It's very different to what all the normal kind of business development podcasts are. It's got a different swing to it, totally. And for me, it's actually more about storytelling than anything else anyway. So yeah, it's I think I want more feedback about my products and services, to be honest, especially my online course, because that's just about to go through an upgrade as well. So I'm reviewing all the modules and things like that too. So in that space, most definitely, I want to chat to some people about that.
Cool. So do you have any ideas around how you can do that in a different way or a creative way? I'm sure you already have some in store, but
I haven't thought about it too, like, because I've asked for feedback via email. Like, I've done it, I think it works best in a call. So because I have sort of been asking for the last few months, but I haven't really got too much back. So yeah, I think it is about just saying, hey, let's have a chat and add some value to them for their time. Like, you know, I might do like an extra half an hour for them just to look at their business or something like that. So
interesting. Because there's lots of different ways you can ask for feedback, and you don't want to be boring this month about that. You want to do it in a kind of a different way. You don't just want to give people a feedback form. Not saying that's what you do, Mel, but for everyone, you know, we've got to start to think of, well, what's a different way of just opening the door to people telling me what they think. Last year or the year before in Gemini, the way I got feedback was I sent out a one-liner question to my list. I think it was something like, are you happy with the way your business is growing? Or it was literally one line. Let me know and I'll reply. And I got all these replies. And it told me a lot about what people were going through. And because it was just one question, it wasn't a questionnaire where they have to sit through all these questions. It was just really simple, and they could just shoot off an email. It was, you know, in some cases it was one line response as well, but it opened a dialogue.
I like it.
So yeah, think about things a little bit different like that.
I have trouble getting people to respond to things, really. I have done a survey and, you know, fairly recently or late last year or something, but I actually I try and ask, like, you know, what would you want from this? Or, you know, do you have any idea, you know, what would you like to learn or whatever, to try and keep their people don't respond really. So I'm wondering about how's the best way to, even if I ask them face to face, it's like, you know, here I am in class, you know, what would you like me to do with that? Like, and everybody's just like, oh, whatever, just give whatever you like. It's like, oh, that's not really helpful.
I hear you. I've seen that. I've been there. What I've learned along the way is people often don't know what they want.
Yeah.
But
and I think in yoga, they love it when you just mouth feed them. Like, you know, just
yoga,
exactly everything. It's like, anyway, yeah, okay.
What I have learned is that people may not know what they want, but they know what's wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's all about the framing of the questions and not making them too general. So, you know, if you want to find out what's wrong, you can say, what's the major thing that's holding you back from actually being able to go for a jog every day?
Yeah.
Why don't you do it? You know, like, I'm just thinking in the context of movement or yoga or anything like that.
Yeah.
Making it really specific. So people are like, oh, okay, well, I know what that is. And making it problem focused. Don't have to do that every time, but some, you know, that's generally
the negative aspect is always easier for people to work out.
If you can make it, you know, blanket statement like, well, what do you want? Tell me what you want. Whoa, that just sends people's heads swirling. So yeah, that would be my suggestion there. See how you can get really specific.
Yeah, I have a few specific things I want to ask about, but it is interesting to try and get the actual feedback. Because I'm thinking of doing a retreat before I go as well, as a way of, you know, leveraging my going. So yeah, it's just,
Have you thought about have you offered any incentives for feedback, for people giving feedback?
Well, yes. Last time I did, I gave prizes and things like that. So I got a fairly good response, and I got a really good response of people who weren't coming to my classes. Like half of the people who responded weren't coming to my classes anymore.
Wow.
So that was really good, because it gave me an insight as to why they weren't coming to classes. And stuff.
Yes,
so
I love
they're
it.
willing to still read my newsletters year after year or whatever, and respond to things like, you know, a survey. That might take 5 minutes. Yeah,
that's a really good point, because when you ask a question and make it, you know, something a little bit different, whether it's a prize attached or some incentive or a really unusual question, people come out of the woodwork. You know, people that you didn't even know were there. Like when I asked my one-liner question to my list, I got all sorts of people responding I'd never even heard of before. You know, it was really quite interesting. So that's really cool if you can do that. If you can start to dig up some people that you didn't know were there, great. You're onto it.
Interesting. And what about on Facebook? Like, I do try and engage a little more on Facebook, so you get the more people responding, but maybe it's just what you say. Yeah, there's often not really the conversation that you're looking for. So it's more about finding the right wording and being just a little different with your wording.
Yeah, I think, well, there's a lot of answers to that question. But one of them, the first one I'd be really mindful of is how many people are seeing your post to start with, you know, because Facebook, you know, the more people who join Facebook, the less time there is for your post to be seen. So often it's just that hardly anyone's seeing your posts, but also, you know, this is again about thinking outside the box. What are people so used to seeing all the time? The same kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And doing something that's different that they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
That's what I'd suggest.
Yeah, I'll have a think about that. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions or input? Intention and
just quickly with the Facebook too, I find that if you are in some Facebook groups, people actually see those posts more than the other ones too. So if you're in any groups, like maybe focus in there a little bit more or something like that too.
Good point.
Thanks, because I'm a bit lazy on those because it's just try and have my offline downtime. It's just like all those bloody groups. I mean, some of them are really good, but it's just like,
But even if you just pick like, say 2 to really concentrate on and be the leader and stand out in that space, like it can make a huge impact. And I don't know, it's a lot of energy to put into them, but you know, if your other posts aren't reaching and stuff.
Cool. Thanks.
Mel's actually a bit of an expert in this domain, so you might want to have a chat with her outside of this call. She's got lots of experience in that area. Cool. All right. Anything else? Jodie, you're very quiet today.
Yeah, I'm still a little bit lost at the moment. I've just come back yesterday from a week of doing the Art of Feminine Presence and teacher training, and I didn't sleep much last night. I feel like I don't fit energetically into this space anymore. There's been so many changes, and it's huge. And it's like, this is a perfect month for me to get that word out and keep the momentum going. And now I'm feeling lost in amongst it all. So it's been a really hugely emotional week.
Yeah.
And I just don't quite know which way to turn and what step to take first. And like, I haven't even unpacked my suitcase. So, you know, I haven't really, let's go with what I have done though. My husband is a Gemini. We had some fantastic conversation yesterday. So on a personal note, it really has helped in that the new strategies even, you know, just for ourselves and just having some just from what I've learnt this last week and the changes that I feel in myself and the way that I've decided that I want my life to go, I suppose. And it's interesting, he's been having changes while he's been home here on his own for a week. And so they kind of just butted heads yesterday in a nice way. Lots of honest opening up and communication and stuff yesterday. But, you know, I'm thinking, like, I'm looking at this going, I need to use this to get that AFP work started, which can then feed into the family tree work. And as a licensed teacher, I can modify it in whatever way I want. Because I'm licensed, I don't have to use the AFP name. I can, but I can also add my own things to it. So I've got a real, like a broad permission to do a lot with it. And now it's like, well, okay, what am I going to do with it? And I'm thinking, well, when do I offer these 5-week classes? How do I get an intro going? They're the couple of questions that I've written down here I suppose my actions, maybe. I still am not sure about the intention yet. And as I said before, I haven't even done my year one yet. So I've had a feeling that this was going to change everything for some time, like the 6 months that I've known about this. And so it kind of hasn't really landed properly yet, I don't think.
Yeah, sounds like you need a bit of time, Jodie, some integration time. Yeah, that's what I recommend. But if you want to have a chat outside of this, you know, we can talk this week sometime if you want, if that might help.
That would be great.
It seems like there's a lot there to talk about.
Yeah.
Big changes. I know that it was actually pretty much across the board. I noticed since the last full moon, a lot of people have been feeling very shaky and foggy and what's going on. And so many people I know have been sick with a cold or, you know, taken out for some reason or other. Like just everywhere I looked, people were dropping like flies or not feeling like they're not going anywhere, walking through mud, no clarity, da-da-da. So you're not alone, Jodie. I've been feeling it too. And I think it's the veil is starting to lift and the clarity is starting to come now. But it was a big deal since last full moon. It's quite a major event. I did post something about that in the group. Okay. All right. Well, let's look at the actual timing now. If you have a sense of what your actions are, what your intention is for this cycle, the stages we go through, as we do every month, first of all, you mark off your days off or any days that you're not working or off the cards for work, holidays, birthdays, etc. Make sure you cross them off. And menstrual days as well, for moontime days for women. And also just circling, getting a sense of where the new moon is. We're actually in the new moon right now, and the full moon. So, oops, that circle shouldn't be there. It should be on the full moon. That was silly. And the reason you're circling these new moon and the full moon is because you're actually wanting to get a sense of what's the window of opportunity, what's the crescendo time of the month where the seeds that I plant around the new moon are going to germinate right up until the full moon. So pretty much from today up until around the 9th and 10th of June is your window of opportunity to really allow those seeds that you plant from today to germinate, to really take hold for these new projects that you're perhaps starting to come to fruition. And when I say to fruition, I don't mean completion. I mean that they're going to reach a crescendo around the full moon. So this is where you're thinking like a farmer and you're planting the seeds on the new moon. The new moon today, is in the constellation of Taurus, so that's resources. So it's actually still quite an earthy new moon. So having intentions that are more practical and tangible is perhaps a good idea. And the full moon is in Sag. So Sagittarius is all about, the business theme for Sagittarius is distribution. So this is where you're really syndicating and sharing on a much bigger scale what you have to offer, your projects, your business brand, all of it. So for an example, this month I'm running Facebook ads and a marketing campaign, which means that around the full moon of this cycle, those ads are going to start to really take off. Now, I'm not starting those ads yet because I'm in the planning of the funnel phase. So that will happen for the next week or so. So I'm doing all the preparation of putting the materials together. But then the ads will run in that week lead up to the full moon, because that's when people's energy is high. And it's also the natural sequence for how I want to start to grow the momentum of what I'm putting out there. Now, you may not have a marketing campaign. That's totally cool. Another example would be, that say you want to actually increase the word of mouth and you're doing more referrals and you're talking to people about your business, creating buzz. you want to start to prepare whatever your buzz approach is in the next week or two, and then start to really amp it up around the full moon. Sagittarius full moon is a very positive, lucky full moon. So people are feeling really good. It's not like last full moon, Scorpio full moon, different story. This full moon is, I want to go big. I want to be excited. I want to, not be limited. I want freedom. So they're thinking very idealistically about big goals, big visions. So you can really encourage that and speak to that aspect in people around that time. Does anyone else have any questions or ideas around what they might create in this 2-week window? Mel?
I've got plenty.
I'm sure you do.
I'm looking at Facebook advertising this month as well.
Yeah.
And that timing kind of actually really works in.
Yeah.
I think also I have really wanted to do some talks around in Bali since I got back from my last workshop tour, which was in Feb. And it just hasn't flowed, like it just hasn't happened. And I'm thinking, well, maybe now is actually the time. And I am actually about to go to a meeting this morning to talk about doing a workshop for someone. So I think to try and book in a few talks around that full moon time sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah.
And I want to think about a different, I don't want to just talk about, business chakra system. I want it to be something that they haven't heard about before that's really draws them in. So,
bingo.
Thank you.
Good one, because that's Sag as well. Sagittarius, they really think outside the box. They're not from this world, they're from another world. So they always have a very distinct angle on life, on different aspects of business too. So you're onto it, Mel.
Cool.
And also,
thank you for your guidance. Good.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you for the moon's guidance. That's really what we're all tuning with here. So what's really important as well to mention is your brand will kind of align with a particular theme or sign of the year. Now, your brand, Mel, is all marketing and, freedom and, very positive. You're traveling the world, da-da-da. Like, it's so Sagittarius. And, it's going big with your brand, big vision. So this is so appropriate for you to really leverage this full moon. And if you're in a different kind of business, then you might choose different times of year or full moons throughout the year to really emphasize. So this doesn't have to be your big one necessarily. But for Mel, it's right up your alley. So perfect.
Finally, a good full moon.
Woohoo! Yeah! Absolutely. Like if you're a psychologist, Scorpio full moon would be my recommendation. If you're a therapist of some sort. But marketing, Sagittarius, very good. So now what else was I going to say? You mentioned, I just wanted to just plant the seed as well throughout this whole cycle. Talk to people. Just talk to people as much as you can. Have as many dialogues as you can. It doesn't matter if it seems superficial or fickle or anything. That's Gemini. It's like, just talk to people as much as you can, and those little conversations will spawn other conversations and spread the buzz for you, as well as give you new ideas. So this is a chatty month. Get on the phone, get around people, and make the most of that. And from seeing who's on the call, I don't see anyone who has trouble talking, so you'll probably all be having fun like me this month. Great. All right. Any other questions? There's no other eclipses or anything, any unusual aspects of this cycle? No retrogrades? Do you have a sense? Yeah?
I was just wondering on this next fortnight, like I've got quite a lot going on and I'm talking quite a lot with different people because I'm actually trying to also, I'm having a phone call later on today with regard to my business. Someone might be interested in actually holding the space for me and taking it over. She might even rent my house. That would be convenient, wouldn't it?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know about that, but she is a really good yoga teacher who's coming back to the area who said, I could look after your business for you, which I hadn't really thought of before. And I'm actually having a 49th party on the full moon pretty much of the long weekend. Woohoo! One, because I don't plan to be around for my 50th, and it's because I'm going away, and there's a whole number of reasons. So there's a bit of a focus on celebration, and I just sort of feel like, oh, is this a really good opportunity for me? Because I am in my head all about my videos as well. I've been filming them and producing them. I'm not quite sure how to best put them out for people to have them available. Like if people pay me money and then they get access and then they stop paying me money, how do I stop the access? Blah, blah, blah. But I also wondering, is this a moment I should be looking at creating that sense of excitement about the videos? But I've got an awful lot on as well, and my focus in the next 2 weeks, which is quite a small amount of time, is also personal, as well as just lining other things up for my business to try, because my students are getting a bit anxious about, what do we do when you go? So one of my focuses is try and work out what's going to happen for them in terms of another teacher. So I'm a little confused about, should I put some energy into that? Or is there another moment in the next few months that I could put the energy into?
When are you leaving, Lucilla?
I'm leaving in September. So
Okay.
it's really the next 2 months. July.
Mm-hmm.
3 months. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good question. So, when you have a lot on in the month, this approach is never meant to be unmanageable or draining of your energy.
Yeah.
Because this is about sequencing the right actions throughout the year.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
If you want to create buzz around your brand, this isn't the only time.
Yeah.
There's Leo, which is also very much focused around your brand. Sagittarius is also a good one. So there's other opportunities throughout the year that you can leverage. Yeah. I would simply be asking the question, what's manageable for the energy you have?
Yeah. Okay.
If your birthday...
See, I'm Gemini. I got excited.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're having your birthday on the full moon. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty exciting.
It's actually the night after the full moon, but it's still full moon energy. So
cool. So, I mean, you could do something small around that full moon to tie in the birthday theme. It's my birthday and I have a birthday special on. So anyone who signs up now for the videos that will be released later in the year, you get a discount. Or, you can really start to stage it and stretch it out so it's manageable for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just an idea.
Thank you.
No worries. Nothing like a birthday special.
Yeah. And it's sort of like 10-year birthday celebration all year.
Yeah.
Because Joy Yoga's been, it's our 10th birthday.
Yeah.
This year. So it is a bit of a celebration birthday theme for throughout the year.
Well, Leo's also great at a party, so you could kind of stretch it out a bit till July.
Oh, believe me, I will. No
doubt. Cool. I noticed there's a few questions in the chat. Are they all resolved, or does anyone have any lingering questions? I haven't been following them exactly. No? Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it for this month. There's nothing, hang on. Oh, Priscilla, I missed the first part of the call. Okay, cool. No worries. So that's it for Gemini. Just focus on having some fun and talking to lots of people this month with a purpose. You know, try and have the purpose of gleaning some information from people and, you know, really asking what's going on for them, getting inside their heads, and do it in a childlike, fun way, and you'll be on track to making the most of this month. So if you have any questions around your cycle intention or the actions for this month, you're more than welcome to post them in the group, because not everyone has crystal clarity by the time we do this call. I know I've got a couple of spaces on my actions list that I haven't filled yet because they're not clear. I only had 4 actions that were really clear at this stage. So that's okay too. Feel free to share in the group. And if you do want my assistance throughout the year, I do offer a tree program, which is a 12-month program designed to keep you on track and fulfilling your cycle intentions so that you actually reach your 12 cycle goal next year in Aries. So that's available too. If you want to talk to me about that offline, you can send me an email or PM me. And other than that, please share the love, you know, share it around. This is Mother Nature's planning. So this is the planning tool of the farmer version of planning in business. So I'm really keen to share this around with as many people who are looking for a more intuitive approach to really just making business planning simple and easy and stress-free. So, and of course, send me your feedback. Tell me what you want. No, I'm going to make it more specific than that. I am going to ask a couple of specific feedback questions in the group this month, so you'll be keep an eye out for that as well. Any last questions or comments? We're pretty much on time.
Just a big thank you.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you all for coming. All right. See you next cycle. See you guys.
Thanks, Natalie. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, bye.